This is crazy. If he plays rook takes b7, I'm going to jump out of my chair.
Is Danya about to launch himself into orbit because Gukesh finds a clutch move? We're about to find out. It's the penultimate round of the Candidates Chess Tournament. Young D. Gukesh is playing with the white pieces. His opponent is another youngster, Alireza Firouzja. He blows hot and cold, and once again we have a fight of epic proportions. Gukesh kicks off with e4. Alireza goes with this rock solid Berlin defense started now in response to this Roy Lopez, and Gukesh doesn't go for the end game variations with queens off and stuff. He goes d3, defends the center. We've got a fight on our hands. Now c3, a big main move, but castle's played, allows knight d4. We get captures, bishop captures, knight d2, calm development, and c6 from Alireza. One day potentially looking for the big center, and most white players play bishop a4 here. Then you can go bishop c2 in one go. But Gukesh goes bishop c4. Now we get d6. It's the best way to go. If you open the center too early, you actually help white bring a lot of pressure before you're castled. Now we get c3, bishop b6, bishop b3, a5, and now with a4 on the way, the bishop then dropping back again, losing another tempo. Black is starting to equalize. We get knight c4, bishop a7, and a4, top move, but knight e3 selected, and it's a bit soft. Gukesh letting Alireza equalise out the opening. That knight sits in the way of a number of pieces. So castle's played. Why not f4? Looks lovely. Well, actually, you're helping black attack. You lift the kilt to the king. You open the e-file. Not ideal. So queen f3 played instead. Looks at this d5 square some more. But Alireza doesn't care. He goes pawn d5 anyway. Because if you take here, then you flick in pawn to a4. This is the trick. You kick back that bishop, then recapture black with the great center here. So no takes played. First we get bishop c2, g6, taking control of f5, rook e1, bishop e6, black slowly improving, so Gukesh takes some action. He does at last take on d5. Pawn recaptures. Why is he given the big center? Well, after h3, he wants to try and move this knight at some point, play against the e5 pawn. So Alireza brings a rook to the e-file, but it's not the most accurate. King g7 better to look after that pony on f6. But rook e8 played, walking into bishop a4, and there's no time for rook e7 or queen takes on f6. You've just left the defense there. So Alireza has to take evasive action with pawn e4. Maybe he had all this planned right, but the game's now exploding. Pawn recaptures. Is this a weakness or a liability? Well, we're gonna find out. Gukesh has gained a couple of squares. Now we get rook e7, sorry, and knight f1 played. That one backpedaling, making room for the bishop to develop. We get queen c7. This bishop drops back, challenging this monster on e6. a4 goads the exchange. It's done on e6 now. Rook recaptures and bishop e3. Finally, Gukesh completing development. a3 from Alireza, chucking the pawn down the side. It's a thorn in Gukesh's position. But how does he respond here? Pawn to c4. The game is exploding. If bishop takes on e3, then knight recaptures, still covering the pawn. You can take on b2, but Alireza didn't do it. What did he do instead? Obviously the most aggressive move. He plays knight to h5, looking at the f4 square. Gukesh goes g3. Now bishop c5, b3, and we see one of the points of Alireza moving the knight. He launches the f-pawn down, creates a connect 4 here, and boy is he trying to blow Gukesh off the board. We get bishop takes on c5, Queen recaptures, rook a to d1, Gukesh got counterplay down the d-file, Alireza brings this second cannon into the attack, rook d5, picks up a tempo on the queen, and now great move by Gukesh. He can see the storm is coming, so what does he do? He fights back with pawn to f4. Alireza would love to take en passant, bellow it at the top of his voice in his natural French accent that he's now picked up, but he doesn't play it. There's a problem with the rook on e6, so instead knight f6, backpedaling, hitting the rook on d5. It stays on the d-file here, and now Alireza, just like a previous game with Hikaru, he chucks the kitchen sink at his opponent with pawn to g5. This is just nuts. He will not ever back down from a fight. He could have just challenged the d-file, but he goes for this one. Now, why not takes? Well, the knight moves away, it's coming to e5, and then into these kind of sensitive squares. Plus the queen's on the pawn here, f4's coming. Very nice idea. So instead, Gukesh goes knight e3. Knights are excellent blockaders of passed pawns. Now we get takes on f4, pawn recaptures, and queen f7, setting a trap. Don't take the f5 pawn. The knight moves away, this knight backpedals, f4 collapses, queen is hit, pawn is hit, heavy piece is open, this rook swinging, not good. So coming back, we see king h2, wise move, coming off the open g-file, knight h5 targets the pawn, queen f2 covers, and rook g6, Alireza going for the throat, but Gukesh resilient, rook d5, cool as a cucumber, generating counterplay, and you do have to respond to that threat, which is why knight g7. That's ugly. Backpedaling. You want to be going forward, attacking. Rook e d1, doubling down the d-file. Rook h6 played, looking for some queen activation, maybe do some nasties, but Gukesh just goes rook g1, says do your worst. If queen h5, well, rook g3. Who's really attacking whom? That one defending and attacking at the same time. So coming back here, Alireza goes rook g6. Are we going to see a repetition? Well, absolutely not. Gukesh is pushing for first place. He plays queen h4. We've now passed the time control. They get 30 seconds per move, plus some time added on. Rook takes played, king recaptures. Alireza steps off the open file here, and after king f2, rook g8, queen g5, we see some of the problems with Alireza's earlier pawn push. f5 has become so tender here, way more than f4. You know, Gukesh is the one attacking, and Alireza just cracks under the pressure. He should go for knight e6 here. Hit the queen, give the pawn, yes, but then go queen g7. Threatening some horrible stuff down here. So you have to force the queens off as white. Captures played, you can take in different ways, but however you do it, black gets counterplay. In theory, this should be headed towards a draw here, but white still with the nicer pawn structure, more active king. But coming back, it wasn't played. No knight e6. Instead, Alireza offers this queen trade, but it's a horrendous endgame. After queen takes, pawn takes, white with the pressure now, and black trying to somehow get out of this box in the corner. But it's so tough. If you defend this pawn, which is attacked, then there's this knight d5 move, threatening a check here. You can cover, but rook b6, and it's an absolute domination of the black position. Many good moves. The king can start marching in as well. Very, very dangerous. So the pawn ditched. Alireza goes rook e8, allows takes, but gets in knight e6, a counterplay move. Knight d5 covers this pawn. Important you do so. Don't touch the f5 pawn. Keep this one together. Alireza hops forward. Knight d4. Dangerous ideas on the cards. Trying to run the a pawn after sacking the knight. So rook b6 played. Covers that pawn. But now things get absolutely crazy. There are just minutes on the clock. They're under 5 minutes. Alireza goes for the trickiest move here, knight to c2. Computer hates it, but from a human perspective, this is very tricky because there's this big threat now to just run the pawn all the way down. What does Gukesh do here? This is the moment where Danya's saying to Robert,
this is crazy. If he plays rook takes b7, I'm going to jump out of my chair.
What does Gukesh do? Take a few moments. Yes, he plays rook takes on b7 after a couple of minutes thought, and the line is beautiful. Does Danya jump out his chair?
Can you trade knight?
Taken!
He found the best move.
Because if this pawn pushes with check, you sidestep the king, you can go knight d4 check, but king d3. You wander up the board like a crazed madman. Pawn e2 now played, and here's the point. You go knight f6, threatening this beautiful Arabian checkmate. Black can make the queen, but that's a big problem. What if you make a knight, do that tricky stuff? Well, so what? Captures. How do you even carry on checking the black king? Sure, you can do some spite checks, but you just move away and the checkmate is coming. What a line. And coming back here, if you don't make the queen, what else to try here? You can check the king, but these are just spite checks. You can take here. You don't take, allow the queen. Instead, after rook e3 check, you take the knight. You just keep marching, and okay, then the mate gets delivered. Incredible idea. So instead, we see rook e6 from Alireza, covering knight f6. Rook e7 now played from Gukesh though, getting the active one off the board. You can't swap. These pawns are too powerful, too fast. So we see rook h6, the pawn now pushed on the c file, knight d4 coming back to cover c6, king g2 covers the pawn, check, king back, rook back. But of course Gukesh doesn't repeat. He plows on with pawn b4, two connected passes. Alireza takes, king g2, rook h6, again covering the square, but the rook back to this brilliant square of b7, supports b5. The writing's on the wall. Here comes the pawn, here comes Alireza's king, but this one marching, not even c6 and allowing any knight sacrifice shenanigans. Now we get check, king f2, the rook back, and rook c7, making way for the b pawn. The red carpet rolled out. What to do? Alireza checks, king g3, and here he resigns the game to D. Gukesh. Domaraju Gukesh going through now into the final round, a half point ahead of Hikaru, Fabi, Nepomniachtchi. This is getting so incredibly tense. We're on to a whirlwind of a final round here. Smash subscribe not to miss a beat. I hope you enjoyed and see you again soon. Thanks a lot.